Is it up? All right. I think we're live now. Let me double check.
I believe so. Yeah.
One time I did 30 minutes. One time I did 30 minutes into a podcast. Did not realize we weren't live. Like I looked later and I was like, oh, wow. All right. And I was just like, we're not live right now. I was like, I don't know if we're recording either. Like it says we are. And but that was Restream. That was another platform. We're back, baby, guys. Welcome to Wolf Web 3. Welcome to the podcast. Normally I'm asking for retweets on the space, but today I'm asking for retweets on the stream. So if you end up coming through, definitely repost the stream. Give William a follow. This man is the father of DePins, so the host of the DePin Daily Podcast, and overall a great dude. He hosts our DePin spaces as well, and he does an excellent job at that. So if you're looking for an MC or someone who knows about RWAs and DePins, this is your guy. And over the next hour, we'll probably be able to unravel a little bit why that is. But dude, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. No, thank you for having me. I was pleasantly surprised when you invited me on. I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be great. And I love doing interviews, love doing podcasts, I love just learning about other people's like journeys through life as well as Web3. And I just love sharing what I can, man, helping people along the road, their own little journeys through learning what DePins are, learning about Web3 gaming, learning about, real world assets, and just learning how important this technology is. So yeah, thank you so much for having me on, man.
Dude, 1,000%. So I figured for the context of the conversation, you could explain a little bit what you guys are looking to do at DePin Daily, but also I'd like to get your general quick thesis on DePins. I feel like it'll help contextualize the rest of the conversation.
Yeah, sure. So without making eyes roll and like people glaze over and go, oh my God, this is so boring. DePins are essentially a way to monetize your life. Like you can monetize certain aspects of your life that you weren't able to before, in the form of providing services or selling your data. I kind of put DePins in those two buckets. So for anyone who doesn't understand what a DePin is, the acronym is less important, but it does stand for Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Network. I'm not going to break that whole thing down. Just again, I want to make people fall asleep watching this, but essentially there's data out there that's really valuable. You can tap into that data now, personally, through software applications as well as hardware devices, and sell that data yourself. Or you can provide a service and build a network, a decentralized network. So you can buy a hotspot from Helium Mobile, or you can buy a GeoNet miner and essentially plug it into your internet, your power, put it on your house, put it on a place of business, and provide a service. And you get paid for that accordingly. So that's pretty much what DePins are.
Got it. What are some of the games and names out there that people may recognize if they're out and about in Web3 land? What are some of those companies?
In terms of what DePin companies, what they
when you're DePins, when people are DePins, what are some crypto names, big company names, small project names that come to mind?
Yeah, honestly, the biggest one's probably Helium, just because their marketing is incredible. I would say Helium and Helium Mobile. They've been in the game for a bit, and they've built something really incredible. I have Helium on my cell phone. I have a $20 a month cell phone plan. It's run on the Helium network, and it's amazing. So yeah, I would say it's one of the more popular ones. The one I keep talking about all the time is definitely Silencio. I was going to wear the hat on stream, but I decided not to. But I got a little hat right here. Love those guys. It's an application you download on your smartphone. You record noise pollution for it, and then you're rewarded for it. Pretty neat little app on the phone. Makes things super easy. I'm a huge fan of those software DePins because they're very frictionless. Whereas the hardware DePins have a great pro of collecting, I guess, more robust data because they're meant for that, as well as rewarding users a bit more than the software ones. But the software ones are a really good place to get started. So I would say people probably recognize, Silencio or Helium Mobile and such. Definitely more of the larger names. Maybe in terms of blockchains, you have Peak as well as IoTex, very DePin RWA specific chains. Solana is gearing up to be a really big DePin player as well. They have lots of projects building on them.
Dude, the DePin world is exciting for me. One of the times it clicked is when I was doing a video for Sweat Economy, and they're part of the movement economy. I was not sure how the video was going to go down because I knew about StepIn. I knew everyone was going to think StepIn the second I mentioned anything about walking and earning points. I found there's some pretty big differences in their business models, and one works. One has legs, and one clearly didn't because it capitulated. But their app is so slick. One of the things is their app is so slick. It's on the same level as any other professionally made app that's not in Web3. And you just walk, and it earns a little bit of this data from you. and then you're able to pick up on those rewards. And I was like, okay, that can make sense if someone's willing to buy the data from me. I don't know who that would be. And I spoke to Oleg, the founder, and he was like, dude, hospitals, like research, like there's tons of people who would pay for these for the data. And he was like, and if you believe the healthcare and the movement's economy won't get monetized, he was like, I don't know if you're going to make it. And I was just like, dude, I think you're right, actually. But it seems like it's a little while away. It's like, what kind of timeline are we looking, you think, for most of these DePins? Like, is there any legs at this current point, or is it just a bunch of in the same? I hear this a lot in crypto. So it's the same, like, you know, a couple thousand people all farming the same things to each other. Is DePin still in that part of their growth, or have they surpassed? Have they found ways to reach the Web2 consumer?
Yes and no. So I would say I hate saying this. It sounds so cliche, but we're still very early. Like it's actually kind of shocking
guys.
how
That's
early we
been a
are.
great podcast. We love all of you. Like the video, subscribe. We're gonna end it here.
We're still so early, dude. It's insane. I mean, if you think about it, I was doing a podcast with Andy yesterday, and we talked about this. And essentially, I think the DePin market's a total market cap of, like, out of all the DePins that are like on CoinGecko or listed on CoinGecko, I think it's like $36 billion, where the total crypto market cap is like 1.5 trillion. And that, like, the crypto market cap itself, like the entire crypto market, is still such a small subsection of the total financial, like the global financial market. Like, it's still so tiny and still in its infancy, that with DePins being like $36 billion total, that's kind of insane to me. That's like kind of pretty wild. Like, it just shows that with everything being built, we're still very early to everything. So I would say, in terms of reaching the Web2 consumer, I would say Helium Mobile is definitely doing a good job. We talked about on one of the Wolf Spaces, I think a week ago or 2 weeks ago, where Helium Mobile, they partnered with the Trojans, the University of South California, and they're, like, you know, kind of in the face of those college kids and saying, hey, there's a $20 a month phone plan, like, get on this. Like, you might not even have to pay for your phone plan if you just, you know, sell us your GPS data, kind of thing. So I feel like people really resonate with that, especially when the thing with getting to Web2 consumers with just general audience consumers is, one, you don't want to overcomplicate it. And two, it has to add value to their lives in some way, shape, or form. It has to save them time. It has to generate them revenue, and it's got to be super easy to do it. So I feel like down the road, you're going to see a lot more adoption from the general audience in the terms of, like, you know, these software DePins, like I said, because it's an app you download. You fool around with it, like, especially with Silencio, you can just, like, go around, walk your dogs, measure some noise pollution. And even if it's not that much money, you're still,
that's such a specific thing.
I do it all the time. I walk my dogs every morning and I map noise pollution because it's just so easy, you know, and especially, like, with things like Nadix. Even Nadix is a drive to earn application, like, kind of like Hive Mapper, a bit different, but it's a software DePin as well. And every time I drive, I turn on my Nadix because I'm just like, hey, listen, like, why not? I'm already driving. Like, so I feel like those applications are going to penetrate, like, those general audiences a bit more easily. And things like Demo too. You know, Demo, you have to buy a piece of hardware and plug it in, but still, it's super passive. All you gotta do is plug it into your car and set it and forget it. You know, so I feel like once that marketing kind of takes hold with the general audience, you're going to see a lot more adoption, just because it kind of makes sense to them, right? Like, there's this thing called data. It's valuable, and why, you know, it's being sold on my behalf already. So, like, why can't I sell my own data and make money on it? And I think that light bulb really clicks for them.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a pretty convincing argument. There's a few arguments I found that work pretty well with normal people. That's definitely one of them. Another one that came to mind this year was just having so many Bitcoin conversations. I found Bitcoin was an easier sell than a lot of other crypto shenanigans that we have to deal with. And there certainly are in every single part of the industry. It's actually crazy. There's not one place where it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Who are these people? But anyways. So I wanted to hear a little bit about your fall into the DePins industry. How long it's been? What was your original attraction to the industry, crypto overall? Did it start in DePins or?
So my journey is really interesting. So I initially got into, like, trading securities, like, back in, like, 2015, 2016. So I got really big into trading stocks and whatnot back then, like, downloaded Robinhood, all that stuff, and just became, like, really big into it. Lost a lot of money at first doing day trading, of course. And then I slowly learned, hey, listen, there's a way to do this thing. And I built up a decent portfolio, and it was fun. So I'd always known what Bitcoin was and what, like, Ethereum was. I didn't really know what they were. I just knew they existed. And I was like, okay, like, what is this thing? Like, I don't know. I almost bought some at some point. I never ended up pulling the trigger at that time. And then 2020 happens, COVID happens, and everything shuts down. So COVID happens, I quit my job, I go back to school, I get my master's degree. And during that time, I decided to start streaming on Twitch, like almost not full time, but almost full time. So I did a lot of gaming. If no one knows on here, I'm an avid gamer. I've been gaming for decades, since I was a little kid. So I decided to start streaming on Twitch, playing video games and whatnot. It was a ton of fun, playing with my friends, lots of Call of Duty, lots of toxic rage moments. So please don't look any of those clips up uh, of me screaming. Anyways, so I made a lot of friends in the Twitch community, namely a couple of musicians by the name of Mellow B and Buck, her boyfriend. And they played lots of music on Twitch live. And I'm not sure if anyone knows who Mellow B is. She's pretty prominent in the Web3 music side of things. And so she played lots of music live. It was cool. We hung out a bunch on streams and played lots of video games together. Anyways, Kobe from Up Only, he did lots of streams on Twitch as well, and decides one day to raid her stream. Like, he just randomly saw her on Twitch, raids her stream with like 6,000 viewers, and I'm sitting there watching, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? They end up like talking about crypto, and they're like, oh, you got to download MetaMask. Like, it's this cool application. And I'm sitting here going like, what the hell is MetaMask? Like, what is going on? And so they get her to download it. They end up donating, the entire audience ends up donating a total of $250,000 to her in that one single night. Like, worth of like different cryptos. Yeah, on MetaMask. There's a YouTube clip of it. You can look it up. It's beautiful, dude. I like literally cried that night. And I was like, dude, this is so cool. Like, seeing my friend, like this happening to my friend. So that was my first like major exposure to crypto and like Web3. And I was like, man, I gotta learn what this stuff is. Like, this is beautiful. Like, there's like such a moment of like charitable kindness. Like, I've never experienced anything like that, especially live. So I was just, oh my God. So that was kind of like my initial entryway. And so I downloaded MetaMask. I started getting involved more on Twitter. Got really involved with like NFTs, kind of all the gambling stuff, meme coins, all that stuff, of course. And then I really started like sitting down, and I got really kind of big into Web3 gaming, like figured out what that's all about. And I was like, oh, cool, this is a really good use case. But it still didn't like really hit me. Like, Web3 gaming's fun. I think it's great. I think it will definitely be a great consumer application in terms of, crypto consumer applications. But it just didn't really like ring true to me. It didn't hit me in the soul, So one day, as I'm like sitting there, just still dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin, because obviously Bitcoin's great. And I love that. I love Bitcoin as what it represents and whatnot. But I'm sitting here thinking, like, what am I going to do with the rest of my portfolio? I have no idea what I'm going to do here. And all of a sudden, Larry Fink on TV one day, from Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, he just goes, hey, we're going to tokenize everything. And the light bulb came off like in my head. I was like, oh my God, like, this is it. Like, this is what blockchain's meant for. You're supposed to tokenize everything and put it on chain because it runs more efficiently, saves you money, saves you time. Got it. So real world assets like hit right there for me. And I was like, okay, this is it. This is what I'm going to start dumping my money into. And then subsequently, diving into real world assets, I discovered DePins. And my very first DePin exposure, I believe, was I knew about Helium, but I didn't really know about Helium. I just knew of it. But my very first exposure into like trying DePins out was Silencio. I downloaded the app, and I was like, oh my God, this is like stupid easy. Why isn't everyone doing this? And then like doing more research from there, it just made sense to me. Like I have a valuable asset. It's called data, and now I'm selling my data, and I'm getting money for it. It's an easy formula to understand. You see it and say, oh, that makes sense. So that was pretty much my initial entryway into crypto, and then subsequently Web3 gaming, and then DePins.
Well, what kind of returns were you kind of seeing in those early days? Were the DePin rewards crazy, or?
At the height of the bull run, I wasn't in the DePins space yet. But I know that returns wise on my DePin investments, I would say the token itself in most cases has appreciated very well. The mining itself is still, I wouldn't say it's lackluster, but the rewards are kind of what you would expect, right? So like, you purchase a $500 piece of equipment, like a hardware DePin, and the returns on it might be like $100 a month or something, at the current token prices, which is why I talk about, DePin being so early, because it's still such a small market cap. But in the future, that's, we're hopefully going to see that change. So like, I might buy a $500 device and it returns $500 a month or $1,000 a month, like this like consistent revenue, because The thing that people kind of fail to realize, especially in Web3, like they're all like focused on airdrops, like initial, oh yeah, win token, win airdrop, so they can dump all their tokens and then like stop caring about the project, right? But why would you do that with your DePin miner when it's just generating passive income? Like I don't understand, because the data is not going anywhere. The data is maintaining its value, if not getting more valuable down the road. So why wouldn't you just, I'm not saying not sell your tokens. I'm just saying, like, why would you just set it and forget it? Why wouldn't you just keep mining that thing? Especially when like Silencio's token comes out. Why would I stop using Silencio when the airdrop is over? Like, I'm going to keep making money using Silencio because noise pollution data is getting more and more valuable. So it's like, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's a similar argument that I arrived at with the movement economy. I was like, if people want this data and they're willing to pay for it, there's no like running out. Like they just keep needing the data because they keep needing the data, and maybe they'll pay for it. And to hear Larry Fink say we're going to tokenize the world is pretty crazy. I forget when exactly that was. What was the first year that you got into the world again?
Into DePins RWAs, it was like June 2023.
Okay, and then for the crypto world in general.
2020, 2021, 2020. Yeah, it's 2021. I would say that's when the crazy raid happened for my friend.
Insane, yeah, dude. Raids are
that was wild, dude. Again, you can look it up on YouTube. It's incredible. It'll probably make you cry. Like,
you'll have to send me that video. I would be down to watch that.
Yeah, I hope she watches this because she'll be like, "What? Like he's shouting me out again? Like Jesus, Will, stop!"
Wow, that's insane. That is insane.
Yeah.
Jeez. All right. Well, that was pretty cool. You're right. That was a story with many twists and turns in there.
Yeah.
Very interesting stuff. Yeah. The DePins world is pretty fascinating for us. We talk about it every single week. You host the show. I was curious on things you picked up along the way, things you've learned, navigating the DePins world online, because it's a community structure thing. There are people in the industry who are important. They're part of a big team. So like it's hard to DM them. And then there's people who are just kind of hanging out. Maybe they're barely on Twitter. There's people who are, fighting for the attention of, media market share online in the content realm for DePins. What are some things you've picked up for someone who's trying to get into the world? They kind of got a Twitter. They follow a few people. They got like 200 followers. They kind of make content. They're not like inept. But do you have any advice for these people or any practical things that you did when you were kind of starting?
Honestly, it is just making it as simple as possible. Like I've always said that Web3 in general, like everything involved in Web3, has a terrible marketing problem. It's just a terrible PR problem. Because as soon as you mention blockchain, as soon as you mention DePin, as soon as you mention RWA, people, like over half your audience just goes like this. Oh my God, like what is this guy talking about? Because I do this to my family. Like I get live experience all the time saying, you guys should really check out these DePins. As soon as I say DePin, my dad goes, what? What'd you just call me? Like, so it's just like so just avoid all of that and just literally break it down as simply as possible to your friends, to your audience, and say, hey, listen, you do X, you get Y. That's all there is to it. And then you get this cool little token. You can sell it if you want. You can keep it. Totally up to you. And that usually works out very well, especially it retains attention more. You're going to attract more eyeballs, especially if you can kind of do it in a fun and entertaining way. Like I involve my dogs in my videos, as you've seen, because they're cute. Everyone loves dogs, right? So I like to make videos with them because I love them. They're fun to make videos with, and they're cute. So I mean, people see the dogs and they go, "Oh, I'm gonna watch this video because that dog's really cute." They don't watch it for me. My face isn't as cute as my dog's. So
I was gonna say, yeah, we can take a peek. So for people who aren't following him already, here's his Twitter or his X. You can find him. If you're on Twitter, you can literally click right above the stream and come to his account. He's a content creator, podcast host. We're live right here. He's looking very nice right here in this photo.
Super handsome. My
that's
NBA
like the
photo.
Old PFP, bro. This is like the OG PFP. It's gonna take a while for me to get used to the new one, but the new one's fire.
Thank you. Yeah, no. So that old one was from my my MBA program. That was my like professional headshot. And then the new one is from my wedding. So like we had a photographer do all those cool photos, and she's like, "We're gonna do like a stoic black and white pose," and I was like, "I got it." And I just thought about like a PFP picture, and I was like, "This would be perfect."
And I know I think we've talked about it in Spaces a couple of times, but hey, congrats on the marriage. That's lit.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yep, got the ring on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We had talked to you. I forget what company it was, but you were like, "We got to work on a DePin ring. This has to happen. I need to have a DePin wedding ring." Has anything culminated from that conversation or sparked any ideas, business plans? I don't know.
I got sent some interesting concept art for the luxury Kudus rings. So
Oh,
I think I was speaking with one of the Kudus reps, which I'm hoping to do a podcast with them pretty soon. But
mm,
they were like, hey, listen, don't share this picture with anyone, but like, you want a cool like wedding ring, like DePin ring, like here you go. And they
dang.
showed me the pictures, and I was like, oh, that looks so cool. I was like, oh my god. So
Wow.
I might be getting that soon. I have looked into the Tangent wallet ring too. I told my wife about that, and she was just like, Jesus. She's like, please stop this. Like, you're turning this into your personality. And I was like, babe, it already is my personality. Like, I'm farming DePins at every single moment. Every single moment of my life has turned into, I've monetized it all with DePins. Like right now, I have
Have
three
you
I
heard
have
of
three
Fast
DePins.
Token?
Fast token? What's that?
It's well, the token is called Fast. I'm trying to think.
Fast.
Edge Video is the company name. I don't know if they count as
sounds
DePin.
so familiar.
So I've hosted them a few times on the Near Protocol Alpha Spaces because they're just a company and they do some stuff on Near. And their idea is you watch things and you earn points. I'm like, does that count as DePin? Like, where's the line where we're like, you don't count? You're over there in the other corner. And what do you call the other corner? Just like work to earn or play to earn?
So it's interesting. So like to be considered a DePin, you have to, again, you have to be like kind of acting as a node, like as like a center.
Okay.
Like if like for Silencia, you can think of the noise measuring like as a node. Like I have my phone acts as a node, and so I'm collecting data with it, and so I'm spreading a network using that. So in essence, if you're just like watching a video and you're getting points, I mean, I wouldn't consider that a DePin personally, but if like you're providing bandwidth to the website or something, then yes, that'd be a DePin. Like if you're providing them some form of like data by doing that and they're paying you for that, I would say that's a DePin.
Okay. Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
There's a couple of them, like Edge Video AI was one, and then the other one was
there's Theta Network.
It was the Eat to Earn. It was
Eat to Earn.
Yeah, it was like you go to restaurants, you try that. It's like a Yelp kind of situation, dude. What is it called? Hold on. Plato, Plato Earn. I gotta find it. I was actually gonna ask you about them a while ago. When I did a space with them, and I was like, wait, are these guys lit or is this silly? Plato on Plato Eat. I know I can find it. Hold on. Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, take your time, man. It's interesting. So you get rewarded for like making reviews.
It's something along those lines. Hold on. Here we go. Plato to Earn. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. This is fun. This is like a IRL. When you know people, you can ask questions like this.
This is like alpha calls. This is IRL.
Yeah.
Calls.
I know. I feel like I feel like this is like the OG 2021 days. I'm working for an NFT projects alpha group.
Airdrop farming. That's what we're doing right now.
Exactly. So okay, here we go. So Plato, Food is Simple. They're killing it allegedly in the business world. Like they're getting tons of partnerships. They're in all sorts of locations around the world, Tokyo, like all these big places. And I can't tell because they're not huge on Twitter. But everything here like makes sense when I talk to them. I just can't tell if it's like a thing or not.
Yeah, I mean, again, if the business model is sound, I mean, and they have actual like revenue coming in, like good for them.
Yeah.
Like I don't really know what to classify them as. I don't really know much about them, so I'm definitely gonna do a deep dive on that for sure. I'll do some research, but I mean, if there's some form of like a value being accrued and like exchange, and people are benefiting from that, like good for them. If it's just some like scam meme thing where it's like, oh, like we got like a little bit of liquidity and we're gonna give you guys some like worthless token for doing this thing, and there's no money coming in, then like obviously it'll die. But if they're doing it right, good for them.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's been cool this past year. Like I've worked with a lot of companies independently when I was doing YouTube, but working with Wolf is like different. It's like a different game. I mean, the guys are talking to like 200 projects a week, just calls all day long. So the amount of inbounds and like projects that come across our desk is like 1,000x. So I've been able to have the pleasure of speaking with tons of companies now because we're doing spaces, which is like the coolest thing ever, which I'd love to get your take on the spaces in general. But no, this world has been crazy. I've found so many projects this year that I just didn't really know about. I didn't know how the foundations worked on crypto. I didn't know that was a thing. Like I literally didn't know they existed until Near Foundation reached out. I was like, oh, you guys exist to help people? I was like, oh, that makes sense. Now I get why Solana has these random projects go from 0 to 100. There's a little bit of helping around, I think.
Support system,
capacity. It's strategy or something like that. So anyways, I didn't know how any of that stuff worked. But I am curious for your perspective on this because we kind of think the same. We both sort of have the gift of gab. We can kind of just ramble about stuff. So I feel like when we meet another Gabber, we feel like naturally more comfortable, I think, because they can always take the show if they need to.
Yeah.
But I'm curious in your thoughts on like the social media landscape of Web3. It's primarily on X. I don't know if you've seen any of their success on their platforms, but what are your thoughts on the industry, I guess, of the content creators? There's different sects. There's some that we don't really engage with as much because at Wolf, we try and do it a little bit more professionally. So there's some like subsets of the crypto degen world that we really don't interact with. But what are your thoughts on that? Like the popularity contest / attention? I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, so it's definitely a majority on X, just because I feel like it's a great platform for communicating information very well, and also like building communities and whatnot, thanks to spaces, thanks to videos. And that's an adorable dog. Oh my God. I need to get mine out now. I need to bring my dogs over here.
4 or 5 times on top of my lap.
That's what mine does, dude. Tracer, she's like this 25-pound little black-mouthed cur, like boxer miniature, and she'll just jump on my lap. I'll be in a work meeting, and all of a sudden she has to get in my lap, and she just looks this way. Her head is just right here, and I'm just sitting here petting her and like not making any different faces. And my boss just goes,
like pretend like it's not really happening.
Yeah, she's like, "What is your dog doing?" And I was like, "Oh, don't worry about it."
I'm earning points by scratching per scratch. I'm generating
literally
details and skin particles. I'm selling them.
Exactly. But yeah, I would say a majority of it is on X, just because I feel like it's a platform. It is a platform for doing, like, it's communicating information. You can write those threads. You can build communities, have those community pages, and it's easy to communicate with people on there. So you have that. I have been seeing stuff on YouTube as well as Instagram, but not nearly to the effect of X, just because, especially on YouTube, people just, as soon as they hear the word crypto, they just type in the comments, scam, NFT scam. So there's still that kind of negative sentiment that exists. But I know that one really awesome IP that has breaking through on Instagram is definitely Pudgy Penguins. I mean, they've killed it on there. I mean, you see my little Pudgy back there. That's definitely an IP I respect. I mean, they've, like, Luca's really turned that into something really cool. A lot of NFTs are just like lots of nonsense and fluff, but when you can create a fun, like, a fun, like, kind of cartoonish, like, family friendly IP like that, I think you can find some success. So they've shown it on Instagram for sure. Like, their gifts are hilarious and everything. So I feel like in order to really break that mold, we need more of that kind of content. The degen content on X, like I'm trying to find the right word, but the risque content on there, I think it has a place, like, because I've seen that marketing work before. A long time ago, back in my MBA days, back in my college days, my master's program days, we had a marketing class, and we had to study a marketing case with Wingstop, the wing restaurant, and they decided to do on their Twitter, they decided to do like this really just like kind of raunchy commenting. Like, they were like getting like real kind of, they're getting sexual, like kind of like sexual innuendos in the comments. And my professor was just like, "So what do you think of this marketing tactic?" And like, if you look at the comments and look at the interactions, like, it was ingenious. It was because like they had so much traction, and like the people were just like, "Oh my God, like who's running this Wingstop account?" Like, they're like getting really like hot and bothered. This is so weird. Like, and like but people loved it, So that content definitely brings eyeballs. It might not be the right kind of eyeballs. It might not be the right kind of attention most of the time, but I feel like it has a place, and I feel like it needs to be there because, I mean, it exists obviously, and it's very successful. So of course it has to be there because it's existing because it has to. It will be because it is. And I feel like I personally, I'm not a fan of that, doing that on my brand, because I want to be more like family friendly, more general audience. Because some people get turned off by that, like they see that content, they say, "Wait a minute, like what the hell is this? Like, so is that like a stripper in the background? Like what's going on?" Especially at these like degen, at these degen parties, like that you see, you're just like, "Wait a minute, what is all this?" Because I don't know. I've been to those parties; they're fun, but like it's just at the same time, I'm kind of like, I'm over that phase in my life. Like, I'm 30 years old. I don't really care for that anymore. I have a wife. We're trying to start a family soon. It's kind of like I feel like it's just kind of an age thing at that point.
It's aging himself voluntarily, everybody. So curious on for people who are trying to make a dent, like something you said there made a lot of sense. You know, if you make something and basically if there's demand for it, it will work because the demand just comes to you. It's like doing putting a hot dog stand at the end of like a triathlon. You know, like everyone's going to buy hot dogs because they're all starving. Doesn't matter what you're selling. You could be selling the worst bratwurst in the world and they'd probably still buy it. Versus if you stood outside, like, I don't know, a funeral and tried to sell hot dogs to a bunch of people who just like attended their
So sorry for your loss. You want a bratwurst with that?
It's terrible, but it's $7. Yeah. So anyways, I thought about that because I was able to hack my way into the YouTube content world. And sorry, there's a bit of a lag. Okay, never mind. We're good.
You're fine.
I was able to hack my way into the YouTube world with like 1,000 subscribers and go full time just because I understood that the game was just like a board game. There were people who like could get you into places. There's certain people, if you knew to talk to them at a certain point, would catapult you into another place, which catapults you into another place. And I started being like, okay, so there's like certain kinds of videos I can make that won't get a lot of views, but I can basically guarantee will get the view I'm looking for, which is the founder of this company or the CEO of this or whatever it is. I'll just tag them relentlessly until they acknowledge me, and I'll just keep doing it. I'll like make another video and another video.
Make yourself unignorable. Like make it so people can't ignore you.
Exactly. And then you're one retweet away from getting engaged with their entire community, which is another cool part on Twitter, which is why now I post almost exclusively on X. And but anyways, I did that and I was making review videos, market update videos, podcasts. There's a lot of DJing content out in the NFT space at this time. This is 2021. And I just like kept consistent because I knew I wanted to work professionally in the industry somehow in a content role. And I just remember like watching my I guess you call them coworkers, the other YouTubers, what's the word I'm looking for? Acquaintances and friends. Cohorts. There we go. Around the industry, and they're like flying past me. They got like 200,000 followers on Twitter. They're doing a lot of whitelist giveaways and like everything that like I was not looking for, but because they did it, they were seeing all this success in this way. And I remember just being like, oh, I feel like in a couple of years I'll be happy with this decision. I'm happy I did because now I have this little corner of the industry. I still think it's the number one way to get into any industry. I've done it three times now, twice on X or two different industries. I did it on X, TikTok, and Instagram. I think it was the same strategy, and it basically works. It just kind of, you hack your way to the front of the line by knowing people and, you know, acknowledging where you're at. So that was a lot. I said it all to say, there's a fair bit of strategy that goes in that if you actually implement it can work. So I'm curious in the DePins world, what kind of content is missing? What would you like to see more of? What's an angle in the industry someone could take today if they're watching and they're like, dude, I can do that. That's literally me. Do you have anything that might be helpful?
Easy explainer threads and the content that I'm creating right now, like the fun, short form content, just breaking things down super simply. Because again, the problem with DePins and the problem with RWAs is that the people who are creating them, they're freaking geniuses. Like these guys who make these protocols are so smart that they don't know how to communicate to the regular person. That's the problem. So like when we get them on spaces, and you've had this before, we've had people on spaces before, they get really deep into the tech. They start saying these big words and I go, wait a minute, whoa, slow down. I say, stop right now, because half the people just like turned their Twitter off. Like we need to chill. So I think communicating those messages, like communicating effectively to like a broader audience, is the best way to go, in my opinion. I think there's this place for the more technical side as well, because there is an audience for the technical side. You know, there are the geeks, the nerds out there. And personally, I love reading white papers and I love breaking like really complex ideas down. But I know that normal people, like regular everyday people, do not like that. Like, so I try to take that information, like break it down, smush it into this like really compact package and say, here you go. This is what this thing is. This is why you should care about it. And here's how you can make money on it. Whereas, you know, they might like, let's say like a random project might communicate that like, oh, the tech behind our hardware is the best because of these 3 reasons. It's like, dude, no one cares about the tech. Like, I'm sorry. I love the tech, but you know, like Joe Schmo down the road, my neighbor's not going to care about the tech. I got my neighbor to download 3 DePins already because I've communicated to him, and he's not a crypto guy. And I've communicated to him that like these things can make you money. And he's like, oh, cool. I'll download that right now. Thanks, man. Like, that's all you gotta say. Yeah. Like, that's literally all you have to say. So I would recommend doing like maybe shorter threads, like short term kind of break down like why people should care about something and how they can make money on it or benefit on it. And then also create like little short form videos for TikTok, YouTube Shorts, as well as X.
Yeah, it looks like Sunshine Jin Girl.
Sunshine. I love her. She's great.
Let's go. Shout out Sunshine. Shout out Sunshine. And by the way, if anyone is watching this right now, please repost the stream and give William a follow. Go check out what's going on in the DePins world with him. Go check out his podcast and his videos. He's killing it over there. And
Thanks,
yeah, man, 1,000%. So
hey, check out Wolf Web 3, guys. If you're not following Wolf Web 3, check out Wolf Web 3. They're freaking great. The spaces you guys host are just incredible, man. Top notch. Seriously.
Thank you.
I'm so happy I get to be a part of it. So thank you for having me be a part of it.
Dude, we love having you. That was actually where I was going to go next with spaces. So to me, I have grown pretty consistently quick on X with my personal, and I don't even use my personal as does like I speak behind the Wolf account, right? So I'll sometimes, if there's room on the panel, I'll stick my personal up there just to have an extra speaker on. Otherwise, I just leave him in the listener. I'm talking to him as if he's like some other entity. I leave the personal Kate account like in the audience or something. But pretty consistently able to grow and connect comes
out.
Yeah, yeah. So now I'm speaking from my personal now.
I've transformed. I've gone Super Saiyan.
So I've been able to grow pretty quickly without even like using the account in that way so much. And I've used it in other ways. I do video content for Near, but curious on your thoughts on spaces as a tool of growth. And a couple of questions, I guess, like who succeeds the most on spaces? What kind of speakers succeed the most on spaces? Is it people who are experts in something? Or is it people who are like if someone's new, are they screwed? Should they just listen in for 6 months kind of thing before they even think about speaking? Like how can they sort of gamify the Twitter spaces ecosystem to their advantage and meet some cool people and get involved?
Honestly, how I got started on spaces was just asking questions. Like go on stage, get really good at asking questions and go from there. Because honestly, I think spaces, and this goes back to my point about X being great for networking and community building, because on spaces, I see spaces as like the best networking mechanic ever. Because anyone can get on stage, like you can kind of wiggle your way up there, especially if it's an open panel. And I've done that before. Like I just randomly like request to speak sometimes on spaces, and they let me up sometimes.
I'll sometimes let them up. If your bio looks decent and your profile looks half professional, most of the time if there's a spot, they'll bring it, unless there's like a reason like they're running out of time. Like I think it's worth shooting a shot.
No, exactly. And that's the first thing you should do definitely is work on your bio, like work on your profile pic, make sure it's professional, make sure it's not like this, like, oh, I'll 100x your portfolio, degen, crypto guy. Don't do that. Just put like a decent profile pic on there, kind of a quick bio, cool banner. Awesome. Then go on spaces. You can if you're brand new, I would recommend like listening maybe for like a month and like not speaking and just kind of seeing how the flow goes. And then start formulating questions that you want to ask on certain specific topics on certain spaces, and then go on stage and then ask those questions in a very quick, concise manner. Make sure they're very good questions, though. You want people to remember what you're saying. You don't want to just say like, "Oh, what's like? How did you come up with this idea? Or what was this about?" Like, ask a specific question because you know so much about the project. Like, ask like maybe something in very like in detail, like kind of deep dive, like maybe like poke them a little bit, because people remember that kind of stuff. People remember mic drop moments. They remember good questions, like I had a good headline one time on Mario Nafal's space, like months and months ago, just about RWAs, like, cause the two co-hosts, they didn't understand what they were. And I just said, hey, listen, eventually all your money is going to be stable coins. And eventually Bank of America is not going to have a bank account. It's going to be a wallet. And they were like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. Like what a mic drop moment. Holy crap. And I was like, thanks. So just like, you need to sit down and really think about what you're going to say there, and then just like kind of execute and just go from there and keep doing that. Because on spaces, you'll meet people, you'll get follows from them, you'll follow them back, you'll link up in the back channels and DM each other. And most of my networking has been from spaces. Like I've gotten so many DMs from spaces. I've gotten so many just like, hey, let's work together on spaces. Nice. I think it's one of the most effective networking tools of our generation.
I mean, to think that you can just like hop up on a stage and just be on with someone that you like don't have access to, the degrees of separation get really blurry. It goes from 8 people of separation to anyone in the world to potentially 0. You can just jump on a panel. Like I'm in a group chat, Tristan Tate's in it. I'm like, why are you in this group chat? There's like 15 people in there, and for some reason I'm in it, and for some reason Tristan Tate is in it. I'm like, what?
I spoke with Caitlyn Jenner recently on Spaces. Like I got to ask Caitlyn Jenner questions about her crypto project on Spaces.
What did you ask her?
So she was coming out. She's like doing an RWA like thing for her gold medal from back when she was Bruce. And so they're gonna tokenize that on the blockchain and fractionalize it. So I just asked them questions about like custody, like how they're gonna do custody and redemption and everything, just because people weren't asking those questions. And I was like, okay, so like if I own all the tokens, can I redeem the tokens and like claim the medal like in real life? And so I asked questions like that. So again, just memorable questions at the very end. And so Caitlin and her devs were very kind to answer that. They're very quick to answer that. And they were like, oh, great questions. Thank you. Like, cause no one else was asking those questions. So just stuff like that. Whenever you get on spaces, like, really dive in, like start poking the bear a little bit. Like, cause people remember that.
Another thing that at least I remember, I don't know if other people remember this, but it's something that sticks with me is styles, like spaces, speakers, styles. I remember, for example, like Frank D. Gods kind of start. I don't know if he started it, but he's the first person I noticed who would speak while he's speaking, be using the emojis to like accentuate what he's talking about. Like if he's saying something and he's like, he wants it to come off as funny and awkward, he'll like throw a bunch of the laughing emojis the entire time he's speaking. And that's just like hilarious to me. Like I never really understood spaces until I started thinking about it. Cause I was like, why would you not do a video? A video makes way more sense. And then I started doing the panels and I was like, oh, it's kind of fun just using the emojis. There's only like 5 options. So you have to be like selective a little bit. They're probably missing 2. I could think of like 1 or 2. They could add maybe like the eyes emoji, like the one where you're like this. That would be a good one. And then there's a couple more I probably could think of. But yeah, man, I remember styles. So if people like are coming on spaces and they have a certain way about them that I can count on, I don't, for some reason we draw like safety in that or comfort in that a little bit. And it's cool. Like you can rely on them. You're like, okay, this is a fun speaker. They're going to bring the energy. This is someone, if I bring them on, they're not going to like be a dud and look like they don't even want to be there kind of thing. What I was going to ask, so for the spaces, what other emojis are we missing from that little list of options that we get?
Definitely the eggplant emoji. I want the eggplant emoji. Definitely just to be funny. But in all seriousness, maybe more of like we have the hand clapping, we have the surprised, we have the sad, we have the laughing. So maybe like extra laughing and sad ones, like the actual like crying one, not like the sad teardrop, and then maybe like a couple more like rolling laughing ones. I don't know, like that'd be kind of cool. Like just different visual effects to see, but definitely the eggplant emoji we need.
The reason I even asked that is because their Twitter X's engineers, they go on spaces sometimes and they'll just survey out questions from the crowd. That's what we were saying just now. Like I went on a space, I think his name was Mark at the time. I don't know if he's still working there, but he was just on a space with Diligent, jumped up on stage, asked him a question about X and like what they were doing as far as upgrades. And he just for like 2.5 hours just sat there, took notes while people came up and expressed things that they would like changed or updated. And he was like, okay, cool. Yeah, we can do that. He's another one. He's like, yeah, I can't do that. And he's like, yeah, it won't take too long. We only got 4 people working on it and 2 of them suck.
Yeah, like, because they're all got fired. Yeah. Oh man, that's so funny.
Dude, we need more engineers at X. I swear.
Well, yeah, he did the culling. Like Elon did the culling, and now it's like it's time to rebuild. Like it's. I feel like he's just finding the right team, which I thought was a good call because I mean, when he took over Twitter, he was talking about how there's so much waste. And it's like, oh, there's just so much waste here. Like there's employees doing nothing, literally.
Yeah.
So it's just cut half the workforce down. Yes, it will take a hit in terms of like developing strength for a bit, but the people who want to be here will work that much harder and get paid more for it. So. I feel like that was the right call. Overall, it was the right call.
Yeah, it's tough too. Like that kind of situation. Like you have to have people who want to be part of a team. Like for the first few years of my career, I was not trying to work on a team. I didn't trust most of the people, so I was like, if I met some people I could trust, and would be either better than me or at least the same output as me, kind of thing. Yeah, I don't want to work on a team. And so at a certain point, I got bored and lonely. Not lonely. I was just like, I feel like I could achieve more if I was like on a bigger team with more people. But I was looking at the Nifty portal and I was like, these guys are killing it. Rug Radio, like these guys are killing it, but they all are rock stars on their own. Like how do I find a group of that who are all trying to become a team? And then that's when Wolf called. Like literally a month later, I got the Wolf call. And then that's kind of how it is. Like sometimes you have to make a sacrifice or do something you don't really feel like doing, or you're like, I feel like I shouldn't have to do that, but you do it anyway, kind of thing, because you're contributing to the team. And that's just part of the gig. And I remember seeing this clip from Dana White a while ago, and he was on a podcast with the Nelk Boys. I don't know if you know or if you're familiar.
Yeah, I know Nelk Boys. Yeah.
So they had they worked with this guy Bob, who was like a great sports commentator person, but I guess he wasn't that good in other places. But he was able to draw in a lot of cool guests. He knew a lot of people from the sports industry, and I guess they had like a a melt off and they kind of just like separated. And then like a year later, they all got back together and did like a podcast in front of everyone live. And Dana White just goes off on Bob. And he's like, you know, you're the type of piece of crap that like we don't need to have in this industry because you're part of a team. You put in effort and you work really hard. And in 10 years, if it works out, you've won it. Because he's like speaking from experience from the UFC.
Yeah.
Like, we built this thing from the ground and you're complaining that you brought out a podcast guest and didn't get paid out $20,000 for the sponsor deal. He's like, that is so, and he just like ripped into him. And I remember being like, I think more like Bob than I do think like one of these team guys. I was like, that's why I'll never work on a team unless I'm ready to be part of it. That just kind of came to my mind.
Yeah. I mean, it's very true though, right? Like you talked about doing things you don't want to do. And that's a truth that I found a while ago, like reading, I read David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me. And if you haven't read that, it's a beautiful book, but it talks about pushing yourself. Like it talks about like literally you just sit there and think like, everyone knows how to get to where they want to go. They just don't want to do half the shit to get there, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and it's because it sucks. It sucks to do. So it's just kind of like forcing yourself to do that. And one of those is working with a team, like finding that team of people, especially if you're like running this whole thing solo and you've worked on teams before and you found them to be unreliable. You know, it's like, oh, I wish I could just do this all myself. But sometimes you just got to bite the bullet and just like find ways to say, hey, how do I like invigorate my team to do the things I want them to do? Instead of saying, oh, it's my team's fault, say, wait, I need to take responsibility for this and figure out how to get them to do what I want them to do so we can get this thing going. So do that instead. You know, there's different ways to look at things.
Yeah, I've definitely used this as an opportunity for growth. That's literally something I prayed for when I started. I was like, I'm trying to become this man, and I'm this man right now. So how do I need to go from here to here? And I would love for this experience to help me in that way. And so, yeah, like I pretty much, you know, every time my alarm goes off, I'm like, oh, this is like I just need to pay attention. Like there's been a few conversations where I sat in on with the team where I'm sitting here, I'm like, I don't even need to be in this call, I don't think, but that's a good like way to see how they go around the conversation, how they land this client maybe, or how they build this relationship. And I'm learning a lot like that, and especially leadership. If you know, something at the top, you know, has to funnel down, like how do they even go about it? Like I'm learning a lot in that way, just administrative, managing, like working with people kind of thing. You're absolutely right. There's definitely a lot of ways to look at it. And if you're a glass half empty type of person where you show up to work, you're already complaining, you're in work, you're complaining, you're leaving work, you're complaining, you get home, you're still complaining, like those kind of people, I don't know if they're ever going to make it.
And no matter what they do, you know, it's definitely a mindset. It's all a mindset. It's because it's like, hey, listen, does your job suck? It's like, well, yeah, I hate my job. It's like, well, do you hate your job or just do you hate the person you are going to work? And so like because I used to like quote hate my job, and then I realized like this job's great. What am I talking about? I love this job. I work with governments currently doing government consulting. And I would quit in a normal situation, but I actually like doing this because I feel like I'm like doing a good thing and I'm getting paid decent money doing it. And so I was like, okay, well, the job's not the problem. It's me. And so I started going to the gym more. I started eating healthier. I started like kind of picking the pieces up. I started doing all the content creation, started going after stuff I felt like I needed to do. And then my life just felt amazingly like just 10x better. And I still had the same job I had back when I thought I hated it, you know, and I don't hate my job anymore. It's kind of like you know, it's a mindset thing. You change your surroundings, change what you're intaking, change the content you're consuming. If you're just mindlessly on TikTok all day, like you're not building anything, you're wasting time. You need to, you know, sit there, read a book or like watch a video on how to like make good videos or something. I don't know. Like it's like watch content that's going to like better you and inform you and not just like dull the mind out like the Hawk Tuah girl. Like, yeah, it's funny. Like she's great. Like I thought that was a hilarious clip, but don't go off and just like be like scrolling through videos like that and then like hating your life and going like, man, why is my life not better? Like I'm sitting here, you know, spending hours and hours upon hours going through YouTube Shorts and TikToks, and I'm not going anywhere in life. So I would say get off all that. Like make TikToks, make YouTube Shorts. Don't consume them, create them.
That's good advice. That's pretty generally good advice if you're trying to get out of a certain place in your life. Hey, we got Charles in the house. Let's go.
Charles, what's up, man?
Let's go. We got Billy in the house. This is in regards to the Twitter Spaces thing we were talking about. We need a wait a minute emoji.
Wait a minute. I like that.
And then index finger. Okay, yeah, not middle finger. Yeah, I feel like the middle finger is kind of like, I don't know. I thought I would see it more, but I guess it's just not as popular. When that first came out, I was like, oh, this is going to be the number one emoji we see from now on. Except for one.
I'll admit, I do. I'm driving sometimes, but that's just like road rage, you know. Like, what the hell, man?
Oh man. Well, anyways, we've still got a few minutes left. I've definitely got some rapid fire Q&A as well. But
Okay.
there was, oh man, hold on, let me see if I can find it. There was a question I wrote down while we were speaking a little bit earlier, if you can find it. And guys, if you are watching, I know I've asked 1,000 times, I will continually shamelessly ask for the retweets on this stream.
Yes.
Let people know that we are out here and we're putting in work on this Saturday. Yeah, we're pretty much out here, bro. We're pretty much out here. Okay, yeah, that was the question. I'm not sure why it popped up, but I'm interested on your experiences at some of these crypto conferences this year. And you got to meet a lot of the people. I feel like it's different. Almost, maybe it's not, but on Spaces, you really get to, if you're talking to them pretty often, you got a real sense of them as a human being. I came from the YouTube world, so I would get a little bit of a sense. Maybe I'd hop on a call every now and then. Now I'm hopping on a lot more calls, longer conversations. So they hit a little bit different when I see some of my friends at these conferences. And the conferences also are just a lot of fun. They're just well put on. The events are great. Karate Combat's a success almost every time. So I'm curious on your thoughts on the conferences this year, and if you were going prior to this year.
Yeah, so the conferences are cool. I think that most of the panels you can just listen to a Twitter space and get the same kind of information. That's like how I feel about the main stage panels. The cool part there is that meeting these people in real life, that is the value. Networking with them, like solidifying those relationships is so key, which is why if you're going to a conference, you don't necessarily have to go to the main event. Just go to the side events. Like, find out who is going to be at which side events you want to meet, and then go meet those people at the side events. And it's going to be a lot more intimate too, because instead of having them get barraged like after they get off stage, like, don't do that. Don't be just a nameless, faceless person, like a number that just goes up and says, "Hey, what's up? Nice to meet you." Shake their hand and walk away. Meet them out, so like maybe at like one of the after parties or like one of the side events, and sit down and have a conversation with them if you can. Because I've gotten more value out of doing that than I have actually attending the panels. Because anytime I sit at the panels, I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, "This is a Twitter space. Like, this is literally a Twitter space. I could be on Twitter right now in the comfort of my own home. Like, I don't have to be here." Whereas the side event, go ahead.
Yeah, the side events are great. One thing I guess that changed a little bit is for me before is I didn't specifically have a reason to need to walk up to the booths. With Wolf, it's different because we work with a lot of companies, and so it's in our interest to at least introduce ourselves to like everybody at the conference. So for just this year, I've spent a lot more time at the conferences than prior because I didn't have anything to sell. I didn't have anything to really say other than just like meet people and interact with people in the industry and stuff. And so I wasn't as like focused, I guess, in the prior things. I definitely leaned on the side events. I still agree. Side events are great. We've been able to meet some cool people at the conference floor, but I think we're there for like many hours. So maybe that's why. But no, I generally agree with you. The side events hit different, bro. You'll go to some and you're like, wow, this is a very unique situation I'm in. There's like 6 people in here. And like, this is like God orchestrated kind of situation you find yourself in at side events, bro. It is. I remember like I arrived and we were in this mansion, and it was like the founder of some big blockchain. This was just like a few months ago. I think this was ETH Denver. I ran into like his EA or something like that, and she was just downstairs eating a cookie. And like I talked to her, I like asked her where she got a cookie. We ended up getting talking, and she was like, "Oh, I like work in here, and you should meet this guy I work with." And then, next thing you know, it's like the core team of us sitting on like the rooftop of this mansion, like having champagne or some like IPA. And I just remember being like, what is happening right now? Why am I even here? And then like 3 hours later, they like brought in pizza, and then we just like hung out there for like 5 hours. And I walked out of there and I was like, I guess it just happened. I don't think I've ever spoken to them since.
Yeah, I mean, it's I love moments like that though. Like you run into people and you're just like, wait a minute, who are you? And they're like, oh yeah, I'm the founder of this. You're like, oh my god, dude, what? And you like start talking to them and you get to know them a bit more. And I've gotten so many Telegram like contacts that way, So I definitely recommend side events mostly, but there is value in going to the main floor, like you said. Like, you get to see new products, you get to I mean, if the teams are there on the floor, you get to meet them on the floor. I just have an issue with the panels is all. Like, the panels are the things where I'm like, this is not worth going to. Like, I can just listen to this on the Twitter space. I've heard you talk about this multiple times on Twitter spaces, but if I see those same people at a side event or on the floor, I go like, hey, what's up? Like, let's talk, kind of thing. So definitely recommend that for events. And I do plan on going to more events in the future. I'm going to Art Basel this year with my wife.
Hey, we'll be there. Let's go.
Dude, we got to link up. Are we staying in the same Airbnb? What are we doing? Come on, dude. We got to link up.
Probably. Like, we'll have to ask Gav how we're doing that. It's in December, I think.
Yeah, December.
But yeah, no, dude, 1,000%. Another thing that you can actually do at these conferences, I found out this time around, because we didn't do as many interviews this last conference. So we reevaluated like what our specific goals were there. And I was like, dude, I'm gonna try and recruit speakers like for our spaces. So like we went to all the booths, and normally we have the same kind of thing that we're talking about or asking, but this time like we would go in with the business. Like me and Charles would like tag team each booth together. We'd like lure them in a little bit, talk about the company, make friendly, exchange contacts, and then I'd follow up with like, by the way, I did all the spaces. Like, do you guys want any FaceTime? We do podcasts as well. And then we're getting like CEO time with all these different founders. It's good for us. We're media and marketing. And it's good for them. They get some exposure. And then maybe, later down the line, they're like, yo, we like these guys. Let's work together. And we were like, dude, this is a cool little thing we got going on here. So,
yeah, I mean, you're spot on. It's exactly how you do it. Like we talked about, just like networking with them, meeting with them in person, and then showing, hey, listen, like we can help you via X. Like we can help each other out. We can work together to help each other out. So I there's just so much value in that. And I'm really excited to go to Art Basel because I've been talking to lots of DePin orgs, and I'm like, hey, listen, you have lots of exposure in the DePin hemisphere, but like, let's get you exposure not in the DePin hemisphere. Let's get you exposure in front of the DGens, like in front of the NFT crowd, because I feel like they'd be really interested in your ideas. Like, hey, want to make some passive revenue by like measuring noise pollution or, walking around filming things on your camera? Oh, cool. Here you go. So I just think like that really rings true to a lot of people. If they hear the word passive income, they say, what? Like that. So I'm trying to get people to break out of the bubbles, because like I feel like we're so sectioned off, especially on Twitter, where you're like kind of blocked in, like railed into like, oh, you're a DePin guy, here's your DePin feed. Oh, you're a meme guy, here's your meme feed. Oh, you're you're a meme coin guy, here's your meme coin feed. And I'm trying to get people to get out of the feeds, man, because like it's cool marketing to those people, it's cool building a community, but you can only market to so many of those people before you start just like running out of people to market to. And you're just sitting there thinking, okay, well, my customer base isn't growing. Like let's grow the customer base. Let's grow the community. And that's how you do these events that are kind of like left wing, kind of like where you're just like, wait a minute, like that's not a DePin event, but that's exactly why you should do it.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. All right, bro. We're going to wrap up with a couple rapid fire Q&A, 15, 20-second answers. We'll see what we can do. Day in the life.
Day in my life. Wake up at 6 a.m., go straight to the gym, walk the dogs, do day job stuff for like 3-4 hours. Then noon, I eat lunch. Then I transition into DePin crypto stuff. So like 1 to 5, I'll be doing like spaces, marketing, like content creation, all that stuff. Then around like maybe 7 o'clock, I'll hang out with the wife and the dogs, because I think family time is very important. And then I go to bed at 10. So it's day in my life.
Nice. Beautiful. That sounds like a very nice life right there. All right, great. You're the first person to do it that fast. That was very succinct.
I'm very scheduled, very time oriented, very scheduled, because I juggle so many different things that I have to. If I don't live by my calendar, I die. Everything falls apart.
All right. The 2 last questions. What was your first NFT?
Oh God. I'm trying to remember. I haven't messed with NFTs. The most memorable one for me was Mooncats. Mooncats was cool. Nice. And not the original one, but the one with the Z at the end of the Moonbirds derivative. I actually have a painting over here on my wall.
How much did you pay for it?
The Mooncats, I paid what is it? It was a free mint. I'm pretty sure it was a free mint it was a free mint that became like worth a decent amount at some point. I paid like 0.01 ETH for the painting though, because the girlfriend of the founder, she made it for me, and she hand painted it and sent it off to me.
That is lit. That is I missed that part of the NFT world. A little bit of that stuff with the artists and stuff like that. I did the same thing. I had a couple small photography collections, and I would send out like little glass frames that I built with my hands and like nails and stuff like that. And that's kind of like the fun part about NFTs that I missed a little bit. All right, final question. What were you like in high school, college? Were you same mentality? Were you totally immature? Were you like by the books? Or what were you like?
I got to get you a picture. Hang on. I have a framed picture of me in high school. It's gonna be 1 second.
Let's see it. Let's definitely see it. All right, everyone, tune in. We're about to reveal William's high school / college age photo. It's apparently important enough to go track down the actual photo to show me. So I'm very interested.
Okay, so just some backstory on this. I had a bit of a rough upbringing, especially in my high school days, and so I went through somewhat of like an emo goth phase back in the day. And I was very proud. I was good looking. All right. You're about to see how good looking I was.
All
But,
right.
but my buddy, one of my really good friends who ended up being one of my groomsmen at my wedding, he decided to get my wife an awesome gift. And he tracked it down somehow. He found an old photo of me. He got it
Oh,
printed
man.
out and he got it framed for her. And so now she keeps it on her desk in her little guest room / office. She keeps this photo. So I'm about to show you guys. This is me when I was 16.
Man.
This is me when I was 16 years old. This is 16-year-old William before
All
crypto, before DePin and all that. So here you go. That's me.
Oh my gosh. That is
I'm
not
beautiful.
you.
Yeah. I'm gorgeous, dude. Look at that. You see that? Look at my long hair,
You
bro.
look like an anime character.
I was an anime character.
Wow. You know what? Wow. I was not expecting that at all. I don't know what I was expecting, but an anime character was not that. That is crazy, bro. Wow. I'm so glad I asked that question.
I had the skinny jeans, the black Converse, all that, dude. I wore eyeliner at one point, straightened my hair all the time. Had all that, bro.
I mean, I've gone through a couple of those phases too. I don't know if mine were as drastic. It's possible they were. I did like the painted fingernails. I thought it was edgy.
Yeah, edgy. Yes.
I had like 5 rings on my hands. Like, each finger had a hand, or each finger had a ring. I've done. I don't even know. I've done all that. I waded through. I went to a liberal arts college, so I thought super woke liberal was normal for like 5 years in my formative years.
Everyone thinks like this.
Extreme liberal woke was like normal, like right there in the center. I thought that was normal, and I was like, wow, this is bad. This is not good.
You get your first paycheck, you're like, wait, what are these taxes that are getting taken out? You're just like, wait a minute.
The first time I dated a girl who wasn't super woke, I didn't know what to do. I blew it up. I like screwed it up. She was great, amazing, definitely marriage worthy, and I just ruined it. I was like, what do you like? She calls me, she's like, hey, like, do you want me to bring like a fruit basket or like sandwiches to the beach? And I was like, oh, we were just gonna go with a few of our friends. And I was like, yeah, sure. She's like, okay, great. I'm gonna stop by and grab some stuff. Like, do you want anything? And I was like, why are you asking me? Like, why are you so nice? This is so weird. I don't like this at all. And I was like, sure, you can grab like whatever chips you want. She comes super sweet. And I don't know. I still don't know like what was going on in my head, but I was screwed up for a few years, bro.
Oh my God, dude. That's my wife's the same way. I was like kind of blown away when I met her. I was just like, you're way too nice. Like, what is this? What is going on? Like, what's the ulterior motive here? Why are you not being crazy? Like, I don't get it. I'm going to go hang out with the boys. Yeah. We have a comment here of Fudmaster. I remember those days of you having painted nails and hello rings. Oh no, dude. So you remember? Some guy remembers, bro. Some guy remembers. Look at that. That's beautiful.
You are OG. Yeah, that was a little while ago. Like over a year, maybe a year and a half ago. I went through it, but we made it through. We're alive. No, nothing against the great woke, but
moisturized in our lane, thriving.
Oh man! All right, well, listen, dude, I can sit and talk to you for hours, literally.
Same, dude.
We'll have to do like a round table with you and a few other people, and we'll pull together some kind of topic on video, and we'll do like a 4-box person stream thing. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
We should do a happy hour sometime, or like game or something sometime too. That'd be cool.
We're definitely doing the games. That's actually on my list this weekend to follow up with, as far as setting up for a gaming stream. I want to try, and I don't want to have too many people. We're doing it with trading as well. I don't want to have too many people on the video stream because only one can kind of talk at one time. So anyway, we're gonna figure out how it goes. But dude, I was gonna say, is there anything you want to call out, mention that's coming up for you, something you're excited to share, and then anyone you want to shout out?
Sure, man. Sure. I guess just be on the lookout for a bunch more content coming out. I have a lot more deep dive videos coming out, a lot more shorts coming out, kind of like funny edutainment shorts. So be on the lookout on my Twitter as well as my YouTube. I'm putting content on TikTok and Instagram as well, so you can probably follow me on all of those, and that's fine there. So definitely be on the lookout for that. I want to shout out a lot of people. There's too many people to shout out, but I guess I'll shout out 2 people. I want to shout out Scott for being freaking awesome to work with, man. Just I love like building this thing with you. And then Suburban Crypto for the demo devices that he gifted me and my wife. And I just want to I want to shout out those 2 people and thank them because they're freaking awesome.
Big shout out to the boys. Big shout out to the boys. Guys, this has been an amazing podcast. William, dude, thanks for coming on. We'll have to do this again. Oh, we got Nick's dropping in on the LinkedIn stream. Oh my gosh, you might be the first LinkedIn.
Oh no. Commenter. Not gonna make it. Nix is not gonna make it.
Nix is putting in work on the alt platforms. I love to see it. Shout out Nix.
There's your new strategy, everyone. Start making content on LinkedIn. That's your strategy.
It could be. Guys, be sure to give William a follow. If you're on YouTube, go to the description. You can find all his handles there. If you're on Twitter, you can just click right out of the stream and click his name. We really appreciate you. If you enjoyed the conversation, retweet the stream, and we'll be back. We have spaces or streams pretty much every single day here at Wolf Web 3. My name is Cade. This is Mr. William. We are out.
Thank you, everyone.